First off, I'd like to apologize for doing this on my phone. Well, my laptop sucks. Okay, let's start off now. True freedom is impossible without a mind made free by discipline. A quotation by a man named Mortimer J. Alder. Basically, what he was stating is that without the mind having discipline, it cannot be free to experience the things that are around it. And because of this, I strongly support the resolution that the United States federal government should substantially reform elementary and or secondary education within the United States. Now let's do some definitions. I am currently defining this debate as a policy debate due to the fact that the resolution is asking us to enact a certain action. I'm defining the word substantially as all forms of public education, defining the word reform as to change, and lastly, defining elementary and or secondary as simply K through 12. Now onto my last resolutional analysis, which will be on a case example supported by my plan text. My current plan text, or my plan as of right now, is to reform the current education system of K through 12 to that of a military style or military school based education system. The system will be enforced through normal means, as by the Department of Education, and will be financed by normal means, as through the United States federal government's current educational budget. The educational system will have an emphasis on three core tenets. The first one being titled Physical Education System, or Physical Education. The second one will be titled Producing Leaders for the Nation. And lastly, the third one will be titled Academic Success. Generally, when you imagine physical education within our current educational system, you imagine PE. With PE, you generally think of a bunch of kids walking around on their phones, talking, not doing really anything. Now, this is excluding the students that are within some kind of high school sport, maybe football, baseball, basketball, lacrosse, whatever it may be. Now, those are being excluded. I am currently speaking of students that have chosen to take PE. Not very active, as you can tell. But with a military school, you generally imagine a bunch of students doing push-ups, doing running around, uh, carrying some kind of heavy sack, doing drills. Main point, they're active. There have been many individuals within the physical realm through sports or Olympic medalists or things like that that have come from military school. One example would be the Heisman Trophy winner Vinny Testaverde. Vinny Testaverde went to a military academy. A second one would be Eddie George. Both great athletes within their own realms. All came from a military academy. With physical education, one will be able to achieve their goals, whether it be mental or physical. Now, onto the second core tenet, producing leaders for the nation. There was a quote by a British educational secretary that with the name of Stephen Twigg. He goes as follows: that the armed forces can make important contributions to the nation, not just on the battlefield, but by embedding standards and values they embody within our social fabric. Which basically means that the soldier isn't just for the battlefield; he's there for his community, instilling the ideals of discipline, of honor, of courage into his local community. A couple of examples of individuals that have gone through a military academy, maybe in the public or private sphere. Well, let's start off with private sphere. The private sphere is generally businesses, members of some kind of business or corporation. Three examples. First one, Ted Turner. We've all heard of the name Ted Turner. If you haven't, well, he owns a lot. Let's just say he owns a lot. The second one, Donald Trump. I'm sure we've all seen the Trump Tower. And lastly, Ross Perot. Now onto the public sphere. Let's give off a couple of presidents that have gone through a military academy. First one, Ulysses S. Grant, Civil War general. Second one, Dwight D. Eisenhower, World War II general. And lastly, Jimmy Carter, carpenter. Now on to the last academic, my last point, which is going to be tabled academic success. Generally, for one to even get into the highest of military academies for that of a college level, United States Military Academy, one has to have an SAT score that is very high. For that to happen, they either have to have a recommendation from a very influential person, or like I said, have to have a very high SAT score. So they either come from a military academy that trains them. Military academies have been well known to teach students their core classes in a very well mannered way. So let's give off the listings for the requirements to enter the United States Military Academy. The average SAT score for the verbal score, which is 620. That's 105 points higher than the average for all other colleges and universities. The average SAT 640, 120 points higher. Average SAT writing 600, 90 points higher. Now, generally, people would assume that military academies are for the well-off and for the rich. With this current plan, or with the plan I'm currently trying to implement, you wouldn't have to worry about that. Lower income families or families of color will not have to worry about that. Now you would assume, well, okay, there's still going to be that a gap between students of color and Caucasian students. Well, there was actually a study within the New York Times of December of 2011 that states that achievement gap separating black students from white students is actually smaller at military schools, due to the fact that the military academies generally have the saying that you go in, you get the job done, and you get out. Or that's just the military in general. It's not about color, it's about getting the job done. And that's what they teach at military academies. So with the tool that they give you, you will be able to accomplish any goal that you may have in front of you, challenge or tackle any obstacle, mental or physical, and while doing that, improve the community around you. Thank you.